G'day. Undoubtedly you're really excited about the purchase of your new rear bar. It's going to take you about 2 hours to do the job. You're not going to need any complicated tools or experience to do this job. It's really quite simple. You're going to need a basic set of hand tools. You're going to need some quality marine grease. You're going to need some WD-40, and that's about it. Once you've removed the rear bar, get your WD-40 out and give the bolts in here a bit of a squirt. If you haven't got a tow bar, you probably won't have these bolts.
So in the fitting kit, you're going to find two of these brackets here. One's for the left and one's for the right. And where these brackets go, you'll see these three elongated holes here. They're going to be facing towards the back of the vehicle. They're going to pick up our rear bar. And these mounting points here, these two are going to pick up the two on the chassis, and these are going to pick up my rod, which I'm going to put through the chassis there. So you'll also find two of these rods in the kit. Now on the rod, you will see there is one side where the nut has been actually welded really close to the base, and that will be sitting on the bottom. Okay, if you use it the other way around, it won't work properly. So just remember that this one here that's shaped in there is towards the bottom, and that's going to be inserted to the chassis as so. And you'll just see it here where it's going to sit. Now I'm just going to be picking up two of the points because this bracket is universal for the 105 series Landcruiser as well as the 100 series Landcruiser. And the bracket is just going to sit on top as so. And I'm going to be picking up just four of those points there. And as you see, I'm just going to use the 2 points at the back there. One at the top, one at the bottom. And then I'm just going to put my two fine threads back into the side of the chassis there. Now, just do it all up hand tight. So I've got the brackets in place there. All my nuts and bolts are in. So just repeat the same process on the left-hand side of the vehicle.
So now that the mounting brackets are all fitted up, the exciting part really starts to happen. We get to fit the bar. To start, we need to remove this checker plate. There's all Allen key screws in the top of that, nice and easy. The reason we remove the checker plate is so that we can access these bolts that hold the rear bar to the chassis rail.
So in your kit, you'll find this spacer plate. So this will fit the 100 series and the 105. And on the 105 series, as we have here, there is a 8mm gap between the chassis and the bar. So this chassis spacer plate is just going to sit between the chassis here and our rear bar. So if you have the 100 IFS, you won't need to use this bracket.
When we're mounting the centre of the bar, it's mounted using 4 high tensile bolts. It's really important to notice that there's a fine thread bolt which is used in the top 2 holes and a coarse thread bolt which is used with a nut combination on the bottom 2 holes. After you've mounted the centre bolts, the next step is to fit a nut and bolt and washer combination like this so that the outer mounting brackets are mounted up to the rear bar. There's 3 bolts and nut combinations. 1, 2, 3. It's now time to install the last brackets. These go from the chassis rail out to the wing of the rear bar. Here's a handy little tip to help you with this section. As you fit the U-bolt, you've got to go in front of the spare tire mounting bracket. You can see it's quite tight up in there, but it gets there, and then the bracket fits over the U-bolt like that and out to the wing of the rear bar. Now once you've got the bracket up in place, you fit a washer, spring washer and a nut to the U-bolt first. Do those two and then you do the outer wing bolt, and there's another 2 going in there. Now that we've got everything fitted up, there's an important procedure that we use to tighten the rear bar up. We start at the centre here, then we'll tighten up the wing brackets, and then we'll last tighten up these brackets here. When we're tightening the bar up, we keep a close eye on the gap around the body panels so that the bar looks right. So after you've tightened up all the mounting brackets and bolts, the last thing you're going to do under the vehicle is fit the bolt and nut to hold the mud flap back in place. So there you go, the rear bar's all fitted, the vehicle could drive out of the workshop. But not this one, it's going out into the desert. So we're going to fit up spare wheel carriers for each side. So we'll show you how we do that, eh? Okay, so we're at stage 2 where we're going to fit the rear wheel carrier arms to the vehicle. It's pretty straightforward. If you've ever repacked wheel bearings on your trailer, it's very much the same. The first step is fitting the cone into the wheel carrier. Simply fit the larger cone into the bottom side of the arm. Hammer that down, make sure it's gone home properly. Then you grease up the bearing with a marine grade grease. Fit the bearing in. Then you'll find you've got a large washer. Fit that on top of the bearing. Then you get the lip seal and put the lip seal inside. Hammer that home, and that's the end of that process. So once you have the seal fitted into the arm's ready to go on the vehicle. Put it over the post like that. Now we're ready to put the top bearing in. First thing we do is fit the cone in there. Just tap that down gently. The top cone fits in place really easily. Then we put the bearing in. Make sure you get the bearing the right way around with the cone facing down. Next step, we fit the washer, and then we fit the castellated nut and tighten that down. And the tension is just the same as though you were doing wheel bearings on your trailer. Tighten it up a little bit. Feel the resistance on the bearings. Should be just a gentle but firm feeling, and then we're going to fit the split pin in there. With the split pin, pre-bending it a little bit like that just helps get down into the cavity. So once you've got the split pin in, it's time to fit the dust cap. There you go, that's that side of it done. Now all we have to do is make sure that the locking pin works and adjust the latching mechanism. Once the lock's adjusted, we just tighten up these centralising bushes down here. That makes sure that the rubber blocks don't move. Here's a handy tip with the latches. A regular squirt with WD-40 just keeps them working nice and free. Once the arm's fitted, we fit the gooseneck. Just slides in there, 3 big bolts, and it's all adjustable to fit depending on what wheel size you've got to fit up. The last thing we have to do is fit the number plate assembly. You fit this bracket over here, your spare wheel's going to go on, and then once your wheel is on, you fit the number plate holding bracket with 2 bolts, spring washer and a nut. And your number plate light is going to mount here on the front. Once you've done all the nuts and bolts, the only thing left to do now is all of the electrical. We're going to take ours round to the local auto electrician and he's going to wire it up for us. But if you're really handy with your electronics, you can wire it into the trailer harness yourself. Well, there you go. A really good do-it-yourself installable rear bar. Not only was it easy, but these babies are warranted for 2 35-inch tyres to hang off the back of them. Really solidly mounted. Nothing's moving. It's all an integral part of the vehicle.